Hello and welcome back to another episode of Review Your Death Clips. My name is Sunken. I have played quite a bit of World of Warcraft Hardcore. I have leveled every class to level 60, did all of the content including killing KT on both sides. So let's jump right into it and see what kind of death clips we have today. Alright, first clip of today is going to come from Kunada, and we are looking at a potentially level 60, definitely minimum level 58, trying to go into BRD. Place on a French client. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, that's a short one, but pretty much a lot to unpack here. He indeed was level 60, tried to Petri to get out of it. So we are in BRD. This is the portion where you are walking over to the bar. Actually, yeah, it's the portion where you walk over to the bar, and these are two destroyers. Fiery destroyers. I don't know if he wanted to attune for molten core and is on the way to do that, but basically what you're seeing is he's quite buffed himself in a fire, shadow form, stamina, druid buff, has an elixir, an arcane elixir running, and apparently just potion cooldown. So not 100% sure why he's even in this situation to begin with, and he's just pulled these guys with less than 100% mana. So even if I give him all of the benefits of the doubt, I mean, what are we talking about? When we start here, this guy's already at 30%, does have the fight must have already gone 13 seconds, and he cast a lot of spells because there are 5 stacks of shadow weaving on the destroyer. So fair enough. Let's say this is attrition from the fight, and let's say he hasn't really started with full mana. A couple of things that are unforgivable when you're level 60 and when you do something like this is a very, very high risk play, and I assume that he hasn't cleared the area behind him. He just snuck through here, and these are now the first enemies that you can't mind soothe, and he might want something from bar, or he wants the molten core attunement and wants to do it by himself. These destroyers are actually pretty hard. They are amongst the hardest enemies in the entirety of BRD. They deal exclusively fire damage, and they do have a frontal AoE cone. So maybe he has used a greater fire protection potion. He has a second one in tow, but then greater fire protection potion is an hour, so you could wait off the entire potion cooldown. Not having potion in here is a bit concerning. Then he does have shield up. He does have no vampiric embrace on this guy. Saving on this, I don't know if I would do that. It gives you just free healing. Let's see, he has 8 seconds of shield cooldown, and now the shield breaks. So the right play here could be to fear, but I don't know enough about the circumstances. If behind him isn't clear, then of course he can fear, and that's going to cause a real big problem. So the overall right play is don't do stupid stuff on hardcore, and this would be considered exactly that. So he's now in a tough spot, can't shield himself, can't out damage this guy, does not have potion cooldown either. And he goes for the I will just nuke him down type of approach. He does have tubbers from Felwood, which would allow him some sort of recovery. And again, I don't know what's happening behind him because he also has a nifty, and theoretically you could just run a bit away and then wait for the shield cooldown, and with Mind Flay you can even slow them down so that you make it a one to one. But you can see they are hitting for 300, right? And he's getting a lot of pushback, and this is where the first crit is happening. Fate doesn't do anything here, my man. This is just a completely wasted cooldown because there is no one that can take aggro from you. So that's a bit of a problem, and he now has a global cooldown. He's trying to do Petri. He tries to not Petri too often, which is why he stops clicking, and then the inevitable happens. He's basically getting killed because he failed to Petri. So suggestions of how to do it better: number one, get a Petri weak aura that puts a huge Petri in the middle, so that you are very clear when you are Petried and when not. Mind you, if you click Petri, there's still a 1.5 seconds window, so a full global cooldown until you can quote unquote click it off by using it again. So there's no you don't need to be afraid to hammer the button if it is really dangerous. Secondly, don't do stupid stuff. It just isn't worth it. And thirdly, I can't really say much other than he did start the encounter without potion cooldown, and that's a bit of a problem. And I also don't know what else it hasn't been working out here, because like as a priest you're not supposed to solo two destroyers. If you must do it, I would also start to deal damage on the 54. There is another greed play, seeing that there is so much damage on him. He clearly has done Shadow Word Pain on both. That's a wasted cooldown. So instead you could go for Vampiric Embrace and then just heal up. Start the whole fight without shield cooldown, so without the shield debuff, and then immediately re-shield again. But yeah, like I said, you basically shouldn't do it. Alright, the next death comes from Sang Boy, and we are in Sunken Temple. They've cleared the upper section. They now are looking to go to the dragon section where the instance finalizes. And it's one of those situations, hey, let's jump down because we don't want to walk. Okay, fair enough. Before we even start, and I'll let it play and then give my commentary, it's a really bad idea to do that with a 4-pack, specifically with that 4-pack. The right thing to do is you jump down here, or you move around and jump down over here. There are spaces where you're aggroing 0, and that will also help the rest. They don't have a pet class as far as I'm concerned. I mean, one could be a warlock, but the UI doesn't show a pet. Oh wait, they do have a pet class. Sangboy, my dude, you're a hunter, so that makes the jump even a little bit more dangerous because you need to resummon. Hunters don't have that problem, but warlocks do. Okay, let's look what we're dealing with. Roaching starts. Oh no. Although he hasn't died, I would want to still take it as a clip to learn from, because others have died. So what can you do? What can you do better in this format? So they are moving down. They do have a warrior that is jump engaging immediately. So for starters, don't use the jump if you are not sure what you're going to do. Secondly, if you jump, always jump towards the wall to these little edges. They are less far from where you're jumping, therefore the fall damage will be less. And yeah, let's go into the clip and see. So not only did they jump, they also pulled that additional pack. I would like to see whom these guys are attacking, to see who actually pulled that pack. So Hunter jumps down, doesn't immediately summon the pet. That's a huge mistake as well. He's Beastmaster spec, therefore a lot of his damage is and a lot of his abilities are coming through the pet. You can see Paladin needs to bubble, so when the Pala is so much under pressure, you gotta help him out. He doesn't even heal himself at this point. We're seeing multi-shot, drawing aggro. The correct play here for the Hunter, and I can only criticize the person that we're seeing play. Drop down, feign death, freezing trap into pet resummon, and then put the pet onto the caster on the left hand side. These scale banes are hitting very, very hard. If you freezing trap one of them off, assuming that they don't have a dot on them, you're at least helping the group. Rogue could blind another one, but Rogue doesn't seem to even be engaged. Has full energy, so they're literally like 3-4 manning this at this point. Justicar. Wait, Justicar was a paladin as well, and the fact that they are out of mana means they have already laid on hands. This guy here is sleeping. Apparently no one cares to dispel. Justicar takes full greater mana potion, then bubbles, then receives the second lay on hand from Valachian. And since the warrior is sleeping and the paladin bubble and the other paladin isn't bubble, everybody is now after the Hunter. Feign Death is the correct play here. Pet comes out way too late. He stays in feigning, which for me is already a sign that he intends to roach. Like, he's assessing the situation, and in his mind maybe he's just continuing to feign. Comes back. There's a very low hit point target over there. Other paladin has abandoned at this point and it's just hardstoning, and that's a bit of the problem in the hardcore community as well, because you're ending up with people that are incredibly scared of losing their character, and then they aren't even running through the situation. As much as it surprises you maybe, this is still a salvageable situation. The warrior is currently not doing anything. I don't know why that is, but if the warrior and these two paladins would actually play decently together, then they could still win this. The enemies are relatively reduced, so that is a winnable situation. The fact that there are not, and that people are now PPing their pants because someone has died, shows to me that we do have a bit of an issue here. Yeah, well, not a good group, and a lot could have been done differently here. Alright, final death of today comes from Tim Burlol. We're a warrior 54 and we're in Felwood. Let's go.
Kind of am I in combat right now?
Dangerous. Very dangerous.
Oh, fuck.
Yep. He's not seeing the two further Shadow Stalkers. Yep.
I think I'm dead, boys. I think I'm dead, boys. No.
There's another Shadow Stalker.
Definitely dead. Oh my god, no. No. I stepped away. It's done. No.
Okay, well, this one falls into knowledge and execution gap at the same time. So let's talk about the Jadefire camp here. The Jadefire camp here, and I might pull this one here up to make that explanation. You're basically coming from here or from here. He was definitely coming from here the long way through, and then you're basically going all the way through here, and I assume he needs to fill the flask. Yep, okay, he's on a quest to fill the flask, but in his mind it's faster if I bypass all of the enemies. Well, I got news for you, buddy. That's why the developers put in the Shadow Stalkers. Shadow Stalkers have a massive slowing poison, 15 seconds. I think 60 or 70% movement reduction is crazy. Also attack speed reduction. And then on top of it, the other ones are casters with pretty hardcore hitting Shadow Balls. So that the knowledge gap number 1 is going to through here without clearing. This is just basic 101. You're going to die if you're bypassing mobs. You just need to clear. Knowledge gap number 2 is these little camps. You need to know as a player how many mobs there are. At this camp there are 2. On this camp here, which he later pulls, there are 3, and there's always 1 invisible Shadow Stalker here. These here can be random, can be any combination of Shadow Stalkers, and I don't know what the casters are called by default. Same here. So the fact that you only see 1 here, 1 here, in the mind of an experienced player tells you 2 here, 1 here, 3 here. That's 6 mobs. You're just not engaging that. Being in the situation where he's at, he comes through this area, pulls the first Shadow Stalker, doesn't appreciate that there's another spawn here. So all of these are shared spawns. They can either be Shadow Stalkers or the casters. The fact that you're not seeing anything here doesn't mean that it's not there. It's very likely a Shadow Stalker. Damn right. So he comes in, pulls the first Shadow Stalker, doesn't see anything here. That's the knowledge gap. So all of this so far is knowledge gap. He brought himself into a difficult situation. Let's look at his UI and his options at this point. So for starters, he is pretty well equipped, actually. 3.4k, does have a lot of potions available, does have target dummies available. I assume this is a limited invulnerability potion and not a Flask of Titans, and I assume these are free action potions. Okay, so with that assumption, and him being a Tauren and having I would say rough iron dynamite, no, that's mithril dynamite, he is more than prepared. So he has that Shadow Stalker here. Correct play, he's already in the right stances. Go to the caster, do intercept, do a hamstring on the caster, and then pummel him so that his school is on cooldown, because then the Shadow Bolts will not come in. Shadow Stalker comes after him, and you basically just kill both of them. He's Fury Spec, so with Bloodlust shouldn't be an issue. These are much lower level enemies than he is. Doable, no problem. There's the other Shadow Stalker that he has been ignoring, and for those of you following my other commentaries, you can see a very good comparison with the first clip that we've seen. Has 20 rage, but doesn't demo shout, which would have already reduced the damage here. So still at this point, intercept, the Shadow Bolts are hitting for 250. Intercepting would solve all of his issues. I'll highlight a couple of other obvious things. He has a free action potion which would get rid of the 17 seconds poison, and if you cleanse the poison that reduces your movement, you also cleanse the attack speed reduction. So if you really wanted to flee, then that is the way out. He decides to do a fear. I think that's not the worst of all possible options. Unbeknownst to him, there's actually up to this point no further enemy, and he buys himself time, so that's fine. He's still not moving further away, so he failed to realize the free action potion, but he has instead, what I assume, given his fuller health, he has instead chucked a healing potion. He continues to have the poison on him. He now dummies. So very bad use of consumables. His mind is only in flight mode. the Felsworn, now I know the name of the casters, actually is out of mana, and that takes quite a few Shadow Bolts in order to do that. If he stops here, right here at this point, Retaliation and Demo Shout, he would still survive that whole thing. But he instead continues to move forward, does the mistake of actually being dazed, and now runs into the Shadow Walkers, which of course is a huge problem. At this point, arguably no longer salvageable. He will get crippled in a second. No. There you go. The cripple is even worse, and he has another Shadow Bolt casting Felsworn on him, plus another Shadow Stalker that is coming from here, which he doesn't even yet know about. This alone would potentially be too much for him. So I think at this point, the only out that he possibly could have is he has used his other cooldown. He has used his, I would call it, other consumes cooldown. So Hellstone / Target Dummy, that's on cooldown. He has his potion on cooldown, which means the only cooldown that is currently available for him is the grenade cooldown. So Death Stance, correct, that is a good choice, but he should have a macro for automatically equipping a shield and going into shield wall. That would buy him 10 seconds. This was wrong. Going back into the offensive because he's now taking way too much damage. So he realizes he pulled another one. Mind you, no Demo Shout at this point still. So the correct play here would have been go into full defense and do a shield wall. Pull them all as far as you can. On 1 second shield wall, throw your grenade, which will stun them for 3 seconds, or go into a stun via War Stomp and then throw the grenade, which do not share cooldowns this year. Both of them do not have diminishing returns, so you can stun them, giving you a decent chance to get rid of the poison on yourself, and then just run. Really, just run. That's what he could have done. Pretty sizable knowledge gap and a lot of execution mistakes. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. What are your takes on the death that we have seen? And see you in the next episode. Bye bye.